Welcome back for part 2 of our layers lecture. Alright, I thought we would make a little room here on our canvas. An essential piece of knowledge is, like, once you've got something on a layer, like we've got our bug cut out and put on its own layer, right? Look over here, our bug is on its own separate layer. We're going to be able to transform objects that are on their own layers by coming up here to, once again, edit, transform. Like we can scale things or rotate, etc., etc. But really, the best way to transform on the fly is free transform. See that? And the shortcut for that, Command T. All right. So when you hit Command T or Control T on a PC, you're going to see a bounding box show up around your object on that particular layer that you have selected. And if you grab, like, say, a corner handle here and click and drag, it will allow you to reduce the size, right? Scale things. Now, I'm going to hit Command Z or Control Z to undo that because I want to actually size it down from the center of the object. And if you hold down Option or Alt when you're sizing something, it'll size it to the center rather than to the corner. See that? All right. And by the way, as you're reducing the size, it'll actually give you the dimensions over here on the right-hand side. So I can kind of gauge how many inches this thing is if I'm measuring in inches as I'm adjusting the scale. All right. So he's a little smaller now. And this is really a critical point. When you're finished transforming something, you have to tell Photoshop that you're done, right? And so there are a couple ways you can do that. You can hit the Return key or Enter key on your keyboard. You can double-click inside of the transformation box. And there's also the Commit Edits check mark up here on the control panel. This is important because if you're still in a transform box like this and you come up here and say you want to apply a filter, everything's grayed out, right? You can't do any of this stuff because you're still in a transformation box. Photoshop won't let you move on until you tell it you're done. So this time I'm going to hit the Return key. Oh, there we go. Had to be a little more firm with it. And now the bounding box goes away and my transformation is set. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this guy. And now, we already know how to duplicate a layer, right? Do you remember the shortcut? That's right, it's Command J or Control J on a PC. Command J. Now, you can see, like, that got a little more intense. There's actually 2 of them now. And by the way, if you hold the Shift key down as you're dragging something, it will copy it and move it. Sorry, not copy it. It'll move it in a straight line. In fact, you see those magenta lines showing up. Those are the smart guides that help you kind of keep things nice and neat and even. All right, now, once again, I'm going to transform this guy. I want to make him smaller. So Command T, remember, is the shortcut. Control T on a PC. And once again, if I hold down Option or Alt, it'll reduce him to the center. Scale him down towards the center. And what do I have to do to commit that transformation? Well, I could hit Return or Enter, or I could double-click inside. Okay, cool. All right, so let's say I want another one of these smaller bugs flanking the larger one on the left now. So check this out. Here's another way that you can duplicate things. If you have the Move tool, right, and you hold down the Option or Alt key, your cursor is going to form the double arrow, right? And that double arrow means you're going to be copying. So once again, click with the Move tool. I'm doing this. I'm holding down Option or Alt on a PC, and I'm holding down Shift too to help me move it in a straight line. See that? Voila. Now things are getting more interesting. Okay, so now I've got 3 bug layers, right? I got the bug copy, and bug copy 2. All right. Check it out over here in the layers panel. Okay, so now let's add a little bit of text up here, just so we can play around with some text and put some layer effects on it. Now, layer effects can be applied to any layer. It doesn't have to be text, but this is, it's kind of easy to demonstrate this way. So I'm going to hit the T key on the keyboard. That gives me the Type tool. And I'm going to head for the center of my image here. In fact, if I look up here at the control panel at the top, I've got a font called Adobe Garamond. It's set for bold at 60 points. And I've set it for centered alignment, right? Center text. All right. So if I go to the center of my image here, it's 5 inches wide. I've hit it about 2.5 inches. I've got my ruler up so I can tell where I'm at there. And I'm going to type the word sublime. And you can see like the color that is being used for the font is this blue. Like normally, if you've got the text right out of the bag, it's going to be black, right? So let me change that. That's more than likely what you would see. And of course, when it's when the text is highlighted, it'll invert the color like that. So I wanted to show you that, like that color swatch right there. If you click it.
I don't know that.
Wow, Alexa was interested in what I was saying there. So my apologies.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Oh, come on, Alexa, give me a break. Okay, so all right. So with the color picker, that's what comes up when you click on that color swatch up there in the control panel for your text. You can click anywhere in here and change the color of your text to whatever you want. And, of course, we've got the whole spectrum of color to choose from. But what I'd like you to do is bring your cursor out into the image, and you see it turns into an eyedropper, right? And I'm going to select a nice kind of really light blue. Or maybe I should do something darker. Darker stands out a little more. That's cool. All right. Anyway, that's a good way to kind of keep your color scheme consistent, is select colors that are already there instead of coming up with new ones. A good way to harmonize. All right, so now I've got my text up top here. I'm going to commit that text edit, right? See if you come up here to the control panel at the top. You can hit that check mark there, and it commits the edit. Let's say I want to do something else here. If I come up with the Type tool still selected, remember the tool that you have selected, the control panel changes to the options for that tool. So with that same tool and same layer still active, I'm going to click on the Create Warped Text option. This is kind of cool, and I'm going to arc it. And I can adjust just how much arc it has or how little. By the way, I still have the text tool selected, so if I want to move it, I have to hold down the Command or Control key, and that gives me temporary access to the Move tool, and now I can move it straight down. And those magenta guides will help me kind of keep it centered. All right. Okay, so if you'll notice over here in the Layers panel again, right, I've got a new type layer. It's got a T for type for the thumbnail, and the text that I typed is used for the title of that layer. That's convenient. And it even tells me that it's got, an effect on it, right? All right, so let's add at the bottom here a layer effect. See that there's an FX symbol down here at the bottom. It says add layer style. So if I click on that, it'll give me a list of options, and I could choose, let's say, let's do an outer glow. All right, and so that's all these options, all these layer styles over here. Oops, don't want to do that. You got to click on the name of the effect that you want to apply, and then the options show up over here for it. So right now it's, the outer glow is white, and it's got a pretty low opacity. It's set for the screen blending mode, which allows lighter pixels to remain and darker pixels blend away. But here's where the real action happens, and that's size, right? I can increase the size and the spread of that glow to get it really to show up a little more. Cool. And you can play around with things like the contour down here. Like if I wanted to do a kind of more nifty kind of edge around that glow, I could choose one of these. I'm just going to put it back on the standard ramp there. Okay. So, and again, if I wanted to choose a color, I could click on that color swatch and go and find one, or I could select one from the image itself. Okay. Cool. All right. So, let's add another layer effect while we're at it. Up here at the top, there is the Bevel and Emboss effect. This is kind of cool. In fact, I need to zoom in a little bit here for you. Like, remember, Command Control Plus will zoom in, and once you zoomed in, if you hold down the space bar, you can actually move yourself around. So now we can see a little better what we're doing. Sorry, I was zoomed out a little too far for you guys to see very clearly. All right, now, I just added Bevel and Emboss to this. Check it out. I can increase the depth of that effect so we can start to see a highlight show up on the top. Shadows happen down below here. Just depends on where the light source is coming from. Okay, and so a little further, like here, I can determine where the light source is coming from by clicking in this little circular area. Make it mostly come from the top there. And I can increase the opacity of the highlight if I wanted to stand out some more, or intensify the shadow a bit. All sorts of fun. So get in here and play around with these things. And like I said, it doesn't have to be applied just to a type layer. It could be applied to any layer with anything. We could apply it to our bug if we wanted to. Okay. So we're in the home stretch here. Bear with me. I'm going to hit Command or Control 0 to zoom back out. That's a nice quick way to zoom back out to fit to screen. And so now we're going to get our type tool again. Remember, T is a shortcut for that. I'm going to come to the center at the bottom of the image now. And I'm going to type the word grotesque. Okay, it kept my same color from the last time I used the type tool. And now I want to point this out to you guys. Over here on our Sublime layer, remember we applied those layer effects, and it'll actually show you those effects here underneath any layer that you've applied them to. And each one has little eye, right? So if I don't want the outer glow, I can hide it, or the bevel and emboss, or all of the effects all together. Okay, well, check this out. If I want the same effects from the Sublime layer to copy to the grotesque layer, I can do this. Well, check this out. There's a little symbol over here on the right-hand side that tells you that there's an effect applied to it. Watch this. If I grab that effect and drag it to another layer, it moves it to that layer. Well, if I want to, copy that effect, remember, Option-Alt is the key that kind of tends to copy stuff in Photoshop. So I'm going to hold down Option and drag that effect symbol down to the other layer. So now I've got that same effect on multiple layers. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so layers, incredibly important. They are the reason that Photoshop is as effective as it is, as popular as it is. It all started with layers. So super important. All right, thanks for your attention. Go make something great.